Hello, I'm Anupriya Patel, Minister of State, Commerce and Industry, Government of India. To begin with, my sincere tribute to all the victims and sufferers of the COVID pandemic. This pandemic has come as the biggest global health disasters of the century. It has led to loss of millions of lives, caused so much of income disparities, pushed so many people beyond poverty, and exposed the weaknesses of our health and social protection systems. However, we should not forget that in the 18th, 19th, and the 20th century, the world has seen many such big disasters, like the Great Plague, like the Spanish flu, and like the Asiatic cholera. And every time, humanity bounced back, which is why I see a bright future for the Asia-Pacific region. I say this because this is the region which has the world's largest and the most dynamic economies. The economies which have been able to pull out, lift millions of people above the multidimensional poverty. This is the region which helped the global economy in the recession of 2008 and 9. And this is also a region which has made a contribution of 34.5% to the global economy. So I see a bright spot, and I feel that Asia-Pacific region has capacities and it has all strength to bounce back. And the countries which fall in this region have already started executing their country-specific policies. They've started bringing structural reforms in their economy, and which is why we expect that the Asia-Pacific region will grow and will be able to move towards post-pandemic recovery, and the future for this region is very bright. Well, the ESCAP estimates say that this pandemic has pushed 89 million people below the multidimensional poverty. However, I would say that these are very conservative estimates. The figure could be much higher. What we must understand today after this pandemic is that our health infrastructure, our social protection systems are quite weak. And we really need to increase our investments in the health care systems. We also must be able to broaden and expand our social protection systems. There is a big need to further grow our trade and investment linkages, to create an environment wherein employment opportunities could be generated, because there is a severe loss of jobs, there is a huge unemployment, and this is leading to income disparities. In addition to increased investment in health and social protection, what we also need is an increased digital connectivity. We need more technology adoption. We also have another front to fight, which is of climate change, which is of the natural disasters. So we must come together to reduce the carbon emissions and protect our planet and the future of the coming generations. So these are some of the issues that seriously need to be looked into, and I would say these are the challenge which must be given utmost priority in dealing with. Well, ESCAP is completing 75 years of its establishment today. It has been a very important forum for the member countries falling in the Asia-Pacific regions to interact and communicate with each other, and also cooperate towards the mutual prosperity of all the countries falling in the region. This is a platform where a lot of capacity building, technical assistance, and policy advisory to the member nation becomes extremely important. So ESCAP, I believe, can play a very important role of being a forum where a lot of sharing of knowledge about the good practices in achieving the SDGs and our development experiences could be shared with the member nations. So ESCAP, I'm sure in times to come, will continue to play that big role for more and more of regional cooperation and a movement towards the 2030 UN agenda of achieving the sustainable development goals. Well, COVID pandemic has actually given us an opportunity to reflect, reimagine and reset the world that we live in. We all understand how the global supply chains have been disrupted by the COVID pandemic. So we have good lessons to learn from the pandemic. It teaches us that now we need to work towards building much more resilient supply chains, which have the ability to adapt and bounce back in times of unprecedented emergency situations. We need to have multiple sourcing strategies. The supply should continue with more than one supply routes. And like I said earlier, enhance investment in health, social protection, digital connectivity, improving our investments, everything needs to be worked upon. We have a very important role to play in addressing climate change. Also, there could be issues related to cross-border terrorism, drug menace. Everything needs a great deal of regional cooperation and collective action, because we'll be able to unlock the huge potential which exists in the Asia-Pacific region if we come together. Our strength and our unity and our solidarity will go a long way in ensuring the prosperity and the post-pandemic recovery of the region. And I would like to quote the Indian Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji, who says, "Aapda mein avsar," which means there is opportunity in every crisis. So this big crisis which has come into our lives in the form of COVID pandemic gives us an opportunity to reimagine and reshape and reset the world that we live in. I would like to congratulate ESCAP and all the member nations on this very special occasion as we celebrate the 75th anniversary of this very important body. India has been its founder member, and this is also the time when India is celebrating its own 75 years of independence. So ESCAP's 75th anniversary coincides with Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, the 75th anniversary celebrations of India's independence. I once again congratulate all the member nations of the Asia-Pacific region and ESCAP for doing wonderful work in these 75 years, and I extend my good wishes to continue doing the good work for the prosperity of this region.